Hello and welcome to What the Fuck Am I Reading? So this week I basically finished like 9 books. I'm back. Oh my god, this is so exciting. So I know that it's been a while since I checked How on You, but literally the second dose of the vaccine killed me. Like I'm literally back from the dead. Like I was in bed for like a week. It was terrible, so I could only listen to audiobooks basically. So the problem is I have read a ton of books, but the other problem is that I haven't read anything physically, which is driving me insane. But let's just get started with the first book that I read. The first one that I finished was Underlord by Will White. This is book 6? Is it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. And I love this one. This was a 5-star read for me. Definitely a new contender against best entry in the series versus Black Flame. This was so good, man. I thought that we were going to have like the tournament here, but we had like a pre-tournament here. It was great. Oh my god, I love this series so much. This one, I felt like it was also like really emotional. We basically discovered why each of our new heroes want to use their power basically so they can unlock the Underlord level. I don't know why Underlord is such a hard word for me to say today. But it was fantastic. Felt like this one moved the plot forward a bit because some of the previous entries felt just like adventures. But this one had like some little touches that I was just like, okay, I'm getting where we're going. I get it. And the ending, holy shit, there's a battle here. So epic. It was so fucking epic. I loved it. I cannot say anything else but praise for this series. I'm just loving it so much. I will be reading book 7 this month also because I'm in love with it. I just really want to reach book 9, Bloodlines, which is going to make me really sad because I won't have anything else to read. Well, I can read House of Plates and such, but still, I'm loving the Cradle series. Like, thank you so much to Connor for recommending this one to me. Yeah, he was so right. But yeah, we also had like some great reveals, but this is book 6 in a series and I feel like I just cannot talk about it. But so many things happen here. I really like it. This is probably, if not the best one, maybe the second best one in the series for me yet. But I'm just super excited for the next one, which I just don't remember the name right now, but I have already ordered it. It should be here this week. I just really like it. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say the same thing about the Cradle all over again because I've talked about this series at least 4 times a month in this. So I'm not going to bore you again with what this book is all about, but I just love it. It's fantastic. Great character work here also. Lena and Mercy, they're so good. Everything is great in this book. I loved it. I just don't want to say anything else, but it was fantastic. I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. Then I read Artificial Condition by Martha Wells, which is book 2 in the Motherboard Diaries. They are kind of related. It is kind of related with the first one, but not really. They are kind of standalones, but you kind of have some remembrance of the first book, some snippets here and there. But basically, the first one was about a security unit that not like develops its own conscience, but just gets away from the Matrix, for saying something. But it basically decides that it wants to go in its own path, and it's just cool. The humor is the best part of the series, in my opinion. There are different adventures in each book, and I like book 1, I like book 2, but I don't think that I'm connecting as much with this series as everyone else seems to do. I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit weird, but I like it, don't get me wrong. It's a really fun time. It's super fast. They have super short novellas, but I don't know, I just cannot seem to be able to connect as well with them. Still, I will 100% continue. I really want to buy like the box set because novellas are so expensive, man. But yeah, I really want to buy the whole box set for the first 4, and then we have a full-length novel, which is super nice. But yeah, I liked it, but as I told you, there's nothing like super profound about these books. I just really enjoy them. I'm just like there for the ride. I think that I like this one a little bit better than book 1. But it's different in a way. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I just don't have that strong connection with it. Still, if you just really like AI exploration, and stuff like that. It's also space opera. You should definitely check this one out. And I basically gave Artificial Condition 4 stars. Then I read Dark Waters by Catherine Arden because I didn't realize that it was already out. This is book 3 after Small Spaces. I really like this series, don't get me wrong. It's a super cool, like, horror-y middle grade series. Though I have to say, my favorite book is still book 1. And this was my least favorite. I thought that it was going to be set on the ocean for some reason, like it's called Dark Waters. But it's actually kind of more set on an island. It's also, I believe, the shortest of the 3. And it definitely should have been a little bit longer. Extremely fast-paced. I mean, it's a middle grade. And I don't know, it was more like tension than horror in this one. I think that the first one is scarier. And the second one is just like a little bit more claustrophobic because it's set on a resort in the middle of nowhere. And the first one is really more Halloween-y. It has like more horror vibes. But still, they're so much fun. I just really like it. Basically, in this third one, we're still going to follow our 3 main protagonists, but we are set on the... is it Brian? Is his name Brian? Because we're not going to follow the same POV in each book. We follow the different friends. And don't get me wrong, I think it's a cool idea, but I still prefer the first POV from book 1. But basically, we're going to keep following them against this melee man, and this one, they are going to this lake, and they're having an excursion, and then a gigantic snake appears, basically. It's cool, don't get me wrong, but I still prefer Small Spaces. And I gave Dark Waters 3 stars. Then, as part of Space Opera September, as the, well, not a buddy read, but as the book battle, I read Nophek Gloss, because Monica picked this one for me. And I liked it, though I have to say, got worse towards the end. I think that the strongest point of this book is the beginning. It has like a very heartbreaking opening. Like it's filled with gore and it's super like, wait, what? You don't see it coming. It's just super, it's super hard. Like, but it was great. Like, honestly, nothing better than a massacre to set up a book. Just like it piqued my interest the first minute. Also, the world is really interesting. They have like this weird technologies that can age you up, for example, which was something that I really like to explore. That was such an interesting part because they basically age your knowledge and your body. But you know, it's weird. But you know, it's weird because you can just accelerate at a second and you also like shorten your lifespan. It's weird, but I really like to learn about those things in sci-fi. So yeah, that part I definitely really enjoyed. But the main plotline is basically about revenge. So we're going to follow this young man, and when he is 12 or 14, if I remember correctly, I think it's 14, he is transported by these overlords to, not overlords, overseers. And they basically slaughter his whole family, his whole community. And now he's out there seeking for revenge, basically. It's a very like basic plot, but it works. It really works well for this book. But at the same time, I think that the most interesting part was learning about the world. And once you get past the middle, it went downhill for me. I still really enjoyed it. I still really liked it. I think it's a really good review in general. But in that aspect, I don't know. There's also this cool technology about changing your whole appearance whenever you want, and basically mind reading, which is also super cool. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one overall. But you know, it just let me like a little bit of a bittersweet taste after the ending because it started up so greatly. But then it just went downhill. Like, I listened to the first 50% in a day, and then it took me like 3 days to finish the rest, which doesn't make any sense because towards the end it should be getting more interesting, but it didn't for me. Still, I will highly recommend this one. It's a sci-fi space opera. It's really interesting, so I will highly recommend it. Check it out. I basically gave Nophek Gloss 4 stars. Then, because I was feeling like reading something thrillery, something fast, I decided to pick up The Silent Patient. I cannot find my copy. I have a physical copy of The Silent Patient. I cannot, for the love of God, find it. But basically it's about a psychologist that comes across with this case, a woman that murdered her husband, but hasn't said a word since then. She didn't defend herself, anything at all. So he's basically trying to learn her story. I'm sorry, I thought it was okay, but that's it. I just didn't love it. I know this book has a large following. A lot of people like it. It has a great rating on Goodreads. But I don't know, the plot twist was like so clear in my mind. You can see it from a mile away. Didn't click with it. I won't go into spoilers because, you know, it's a thriller book. If you know the twist, you probably won't like it. But I don't know, it was just okay for me. You basically have the two POVs. You have the silent woman basically and the psychologist, which is a nice touch, and also how it's told via diary entries and jumping into the past and into the present. That was interesting. It was like a nice play, but I just wasn't on board with the reveal. So that's sad. I've been really like disappointed with thrillers lately. I've been enjoying more like slashery type of books, murderous type of books, than mystery thrillers in general with a great plot twist. Which is sad because I feel like I'm in a moment where I really want to read mystery thrillers. I feel like that, and I was searching like my whole TBR of thrillers in Goodreads, and I didn't find a single thing that I wanted to read. Except this next book. Because I gave this Silent Patient 3 stars. It was an enjoyable read. I read it in a day, so it was fine. But then I read My Heart is a Chainsaw, which I was really excited, and it was one of my most anticipated releases since I first discovered it. I think it was in Red Channel? Might be. But man, this is basically an homage to slasher movies in the 80s and 90s. It was so good, man. You're basically going to follow not your typical final girl. And she basically is thrown into a slasher movie. It's filled with reference to famous movies. Like, it's just filled with Friday the 13th, with Halloween, with Scream, with whatever you want, but it's just filled with them. We also have like more cult classics there, but I love it. As someone who loves slasher movies, like I love them, and also slasher books, because Clown in a Cornfield was one of the most surprising books that I read last year. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Please, if you have more books like My Heart is a Chainsaw and Clown in a Cornfield, please let me know. I just love them so much. The main protagonist is also a Native American, which is refreshing, you know, different for your slasher typical protagonist. So it was great. I just don't want to spoil anything, but basically, yeah, it's just like a slasher movie, but made a book. It was fantastic. I highly recommend this one if you just like horror or mystery in general. It was, it had like some good plot twist, but I just really enjoy like being basically inside a movie. It's also told like it's a film, so it's super cool. We have these headers before every chapter, which are essays that the main character is doing about some cult films. Such a cool touch. It reminded me a lot of the headers in the Southern Book Club Guide to Silent Vampires, that you have like a horror movie as a header chapter. It was great. It was great. So I highly recommend My Heart is a Chainsaw. It was so cool. I really need to get a physical copy because I grabbed the audiobook. I had it like pre-ordered. It was great. Highly recommend this one. I gave it 4 stars. It was super enjoyable. Like, it's not a perfect book, but it's just so fun. Like, it's just so much fun. Then I read Survive the Night by Riley Sager because I still wanted to just read mystery thrillers and slashers and such. I had to DNF this book. I don't DNF books. I'm someone who really likes to read the book till the end, because there's always something in the end that might make you like a book a lot. But man, holy shit. So basically, the premise of this book is that we're going to follow Charlie. She gets in a car with a stranger after her best friend is murdered. Doesn't matter, the killer was not found, but she just gets in the car anyway. Like, who cares? It's fine. And she basically discovers that this guy might actually be the killer. And instead of doing something about it, she just goes with it. Like, why would I ask for help? Stupid. Honestly, like the fucking little brain power that this main character had was so fucking annoying. I couldn't stop listening to this. Like, I listened to 60% of this book in a day because I couldn't do anything else. I wasn't able to do anything else. So I had to listen to something. I was just like, yeah, why not listen to Survive the Night? Like, I kind of like one of the other books by the author. I just don't remember which one I liked. I just don't understand the hype of this author. I just don't get it. Riley Sager for me just doesn't work. The only other book that I have like a sense that I might like is The Last Time I Lied. That one I'm kind of curious about, so I might read it. But this book was exasperating. Also, there's so many like blunt racism quotes here. Like, I don't know, it was stupid. I just couldn't handle fucking Charlie. She was so dumb. Like, so dumb. Honestly, there's a scene in a fucking cafe. She's just like, oh yeah, I just asked for my boyfriend's help, like in code. And then this lady literally takes her aside and asks her if she's okay. And if the guy is doing something to her, and she's just like, oh no, don't worry, I'm fine. Makes no fucking sense. Like, it was so stupid. So stupid. Ugh. I didn't rate it because I didn't finish it. And maybe, you know, it had like a fucking great plot twist at the end. I don't know. But I don't care either. So let's just move on. It's going to go with the worst book that I read this year, 100%. But holy shit. Then I decided to read this novella that I had here because I want to read more sci-fi this month, Space Opera September. So I read The Bosch by Lash. And I didn't like it either. I went through a rough time, okay, with books these past days, but this wasn't it. I gave it 2 stars. It had like great concepts, but I said it in my review on Goodreads, but I'm tired of rape being the main plot device of a story. It just bothers the hell out of me. Like, I just don't like it. And also, there's a scene fairly on in the beginning. This girl basically, it's not a girl, it's via science fiction, so there are so many weird things related to humans and bodies and all kinds of animals. It was so weird. But she basically gives birth to like a fucking fish for a second there. It was weird as hell, but I just didn't like that use as a plot device. Also, it's just filled with typos, and it takes a lot for me to realize that there's typos because English is not my first language. So I, of course, commit some typos now and then. So sometimes I just don't see them because I'm not used to them. But I realized, like, I took notice of them, so that's a problem. But yeah, I just didn't like this one. I'm sure that there's people out there who can enjoy this. It actually has a pretty decent rating. Like, I think it has more than a 4. So a lot of people are liking it. But it just made me uncomfortable. So I'm probably going to unhold this one. Even though I really like the cover, it's just like really eerie. I don't know, it's weird, but I really like it. Then something good happened. I decided to read House of Holo, which was great, honestly. This book was everything that I wanted Wilder Girls to be. Body horror and such. So much better. Like, so much better in so many levels. It's also scarier than Wilder Girls. It's better in general. It has a cohesive story. It's a standalone. We're basically going to follow these 3 sisters, and when they were young, the 3 of them disappeared. When they came back, they had like no irises, they had white hair because they went through a lot of trauma, and since then they have developed like this kind of weird powers. They are basically like attraction machines. If they kiss someone, like everyone wants to get to them. It's just weird. They have basically triumph. It's cool, but one day one of the sisters goes missing and the other 2 are after her, basically. Very basic premise, but really, really interesting. It's super gory sometimes, and it's also really, really horror-y. It has a lot of horror elements. I just really like this one in general. I really need to get a physical copy because it reminded me a lot of Hold Back the Tide in Rules for Vanishing. Like, it has like that YA horror feeling that I just love for some reason. But yeah, it was great. I'm not going to say anything else because I really want you to read this book. If you have read the other two, you're 100% going to enjoy this one. Also, I really like the ending. It was fantastic. I was listening to it while I was feeling better and I was playing Ghost of Tsushima. Great. It was great. I highly recommend this one. I gave it a 4.5. I think that I might bump it up a little bit. But yeah, I really liked it overall. So 100% would recommend that you check it out. So those were all the books that I have read this week. What have you done this week? Tell me. Have you read anything? Have you finished anything? Are you starting anything? I'm currently reading Spirits of Vengeance still because I've told you I'm not able to read physically. Well, now I'm able. I wasn't able to read physically last week. And I'm also listening to Starship Troopers, which I should finish today because I have the day off. So I think it should be fine. But yeah, what are you currently reading? Just tell me down in the comments below. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.